Joy Nitai, Hare Krishna, Dandavat pranams. Happy Nityananda Trayodasi, Happy Nityananda Trayodasi. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. So, we've been waiting for this day for the whole year. Every day is this day. Every day is Nityananda Trayodasi for us. But this day is the day that the whole world is focusing on our Doyal Nitai, our PremiiNitai. And it's very encouraging and heartwarming. And actually, we really love this day, even more than Gaur Purnima. Because this day is the day that we hear about our most merciful Lord, who will save everybody like Jagais and Madais. We're all Jagais and Madais now. So this is our Lord. He's tailor-made for us in Kali Yuga. I've been praying to Lord Gauranga for what feels like many lives to glorify his Nitai in the way that I will try to attempt to now. Before any endeavor, the best idea is to consult with your elders. So let us call for our ever well-wishers in our Guru Parampara. Namayom Gauranga Padayo, Nitai Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Ratna Sadhu iti namine, Nitai Nama Nitai Lila Nitai Bhakti Vitarine, Ananga Bhakti Vinoda Shraya Pradayine. Namayom Vishnu Padayo, Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Shastri, Parampaditi Namine. Namayom Vishnu Padayo, Gaura Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Kumud, Shanta Goshaminiti Namine. Namayom Vishnu Padayo, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Charu Shaminiti Namine. Snigdha Chaita Supraneta, Vagminam Chara Saplutam, Prabhupada Gata Prana, Naumi Bhakti Charupadam. Namayom Vishnu Padayo, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Janava Vasudha Kantam, Padmahadai Nandanam, Ekachakra Gopa Gopinam, PremiiNitai Praneshwaram. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Joy Nitai. So I have this small presentation that I've put together. It's not complete. I've put it in sections, so this is the part 1. But I wanted this to be released on this day for all of you to hear the glories of our Doyal Nitai, our PremiiNitai. Joy Nitai, Hare Krishna. Happy Nityananda Trayodasi. Joy Nitai, Hare Krishna. Happy Nityananda Trayodasi. Our Lord Nityananda Prabhu was born in the year 1473 AD in a place called Ekachakra, Radhadesh. Prior to the appearance of our Lord, this place was the place where the Pandavas stayed during their exile. When our Nitai appeared there, famine and other signs of poverty disappeared. His parents are Hadai Pandit and Padmavati Devi. They are both of spotless character and more than qualified to be his caretakers, and they could not recognize that the Supreme Lord was their son. Lord Nityananda Prabhu of Ekachakra in Kali Yuga is actually and factually Lord Balaram of Vrindavan in Dwapara Yuga. So similarly, his childhood friends are also the Gopas of Balaram, and they love to reenact scenes from Nitai's previous pastimes. One such pastime, most famously noted, was the pastime of our Nitai playing the role of Lakshman when he got hit with the Shakti Shela weapon. He played the role so well that he remained unconscious until the boy who was playing Hanuman came back with the medicine to revive him. Everyone was well seasoned with Maya Devi's energy because they all could not recognize him even after all of these amazing events. As time quickly went by, our Nitai had a small desire to leave home and travel. The same way that a parent knows their child, the child also knows the parent. So our Nitai was well aware not to bring this desire up to Hadai and Padmavati. Instead, he arranged by his own sweet will that a sannyasi come to his house, the house of his parents, and bless them and beg alms. Regarding the identity of the sannyasi, I'm not too certain who he was. Some have said that he is Madhavendra Puri, or some say he is Lakshmipati Tirtha, the guru of Madhavendra Puri. In any event, he came to Hadai Pandit's house and was received very nicely. Hadai Pandit followed the etiquette of facilitating a sannyasi so strictly that when asked to give his Nitai as a traveling companion, he did, although he was very reluctant to do it. The one who allowed Hadai Pandit to give Nitai to the sannyasi was Padmavati Devi. She knew that not properly caring for a guest carries a great deal of sin, and being an obedient wife, she said to Hadai Pandit, "Whatever you desire to do." After the sannyasi left Ekachakra with Nitai, Hadai Pandit made the place known as Malatala famous, or infamous. It is the place where Hadai, out of a feeling of complete hopelessness, hung up his Japamala. The deep meaning behind this is that without Nitai, what is the use of chanting? Shortly after Nitai left home, Hadai left his body in the same way that Lord Ramachandra's father Dasarath did. Earlier I said that the sannyasi who traveled with Nitai was said to either be Lakshmipati Tirtha or Madhavendra Puri. I have always been under the impression that the sannyasi was actually Lakshmipati Tirtha, because Nityananda Charitamrita describes Shripad Madhavendra Puri's meeting with Nitai after the sannyasi came to Ekachakra to collect Nitai. So this is my reasoning behind this logic. Our Nitai is known as the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead, and the one who he serves is Gauranga Mahaprabhu. During the time when our Nitai was traveling, Gauranga Mahaprabhu was playing his role as Nimai Pandit, the great scholar of Nyaya, or logic. When the time was right, the two were bound to meet. Mahaprabhu told the Vaishnavas that within a day or two, a great personality will come. Then later that day, after worship, Mahaprabhu told the Vaishnavas about his wonderful dream. He said that he saw a flag-marked chariot parked near to his door, and on the chariot was an amazing personality who carried a pillar and asked for Nimai Pandit by name. Mahaprabhu identified the personality as Lord Balaram. When describing this, Mahaprabhu became overwhelmed with the mood of Balaram and shouted, "Bring wine, bring wine." And Srivas Thakur told Mahaprabhu that this wine that you're speaking of, it's right in front of you. But the only people that can relish it are the people who you allow to relish it. After this, Mahaprabhu instructed Srivas and Haridas Thakur to search out where Nitai was. They searched through the whole Navadvip, but they couldn't locate him. The reason for this is because Nitai Tattva is the most confidential Tattva. Even very elevated devotees were not able to recognize Nitai without the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu asked Murari, "Murari, have you seen Nityananda the Avadut?" Murari said, "Yes, he's by the house of Nandanacharya." When Mahaprabhu was brought in front of Nitai, Nitai was still in trance. But when their eyes met, who can know what the two thought? Sometime later, Mahaprabhu suggested that Nitai should perform Vyas Puja in the house of Srivas Pandit. To cover all of these pastimes of our Nitai, I've only mentioned these events briefly, but I strongly encourage everyone to consult with their Nityananda Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat to hear a very more detailed account of these events. One very interesting thing that happened around this time was the dream of Sachi Devi, Lord Gauranga's mother. She saw in her dream Krishna and Balaram arguing with Gaur and Nitai. This pastime is most sweet and nourishing for the devotees of Nityananda Prabhu. Another such pastime is the eating pastime of Gaur Nitai, where they assumed a four-handed black and white form in front of Sachi Mata, causing her to faint. Lord Gauranga himself said this in glorification of Lord Nityananda: "Your name is Nityananda, and your form is Nityananda. You are indeed the abode of eternal bliss, non-different from Balaram. You are wandering to the holy places. Your accepting food is simply filled with eternal bliss. Who has the power to understand you? You are the supreme absolute truth and are as good as Krishna. Mahaprabhu glorified our Nitai like this extensively. Our Doyal Nitai is most famous for delivering Jagai and Madai. Nitai and Haridas Thakur were ordered to go and preach door to door by Mahaprabhu. They would go door to door and beg for people to simply chant the names of Krishna. On their preaching journey, Haridas and Nitai came across these two most fallen souls. When Nitai asked about these two, the people described how sinful they are and told them to make sure to avoid them. They described that the only sin that they did not get the chance to do was Vaishnava Aparad. At this point, our Nitai had already made up his mind to deliver Jagai and Madai, and it was just a matter of time before he did it. One day he thought, if I just take these two sinners and I get them delivered, then everyone would see how amazingly powerful my Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu is. Nitai and Haridas approached the two who were supremely intoxicated, and they said, Lord Krishna has mercifully delivered you. Please give up your sinful life and worship him. When Jagai and Madai heard this, they tried to catch Nitai and Haridas to beat them. Thankfully, they got away unharmed, but our Nitai was determined to save these two. To make a long story short, Lord Nitai again went in front of Jagai and Madai to preach to them. They were so enraged by Nityananda Prabhu's doing this that Madai picked up a clay pot and hit Nitai in the head with it, causing blood to shed. Almost immediately, Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared there, ready to sever their heads with his Sudarshan Chakra. Our Nitai is like an expert lawyer, though, who can protect us even from the Supreme Lord himself. He begged first on the behalf of Jagai by saying that he is the one who stopped Madai from striking me in the head. So Mahaprabhu was pleased with Jagai for this reason, but he maintained an angry disposition with Madai. And Madai began to beg to Mahaprabhu, and Madai begged Mahaprabhu for his forgiveness, but Mahaprabhu said, you have committed a grave offense at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Now fall at his lotus feet and beg for pardon. So then at that point, Madai did that when instructed by Mahaprabhu, and Nitai embraced Madai. When a doubt was brought up about if the two were truly delivered, Mahaprabhu changed his golden bodily complexion to black in front of all that were present, so that way he can show that he's absorbed their sins truly. After this life-changing experience, Jagai and Madai never sinned again and served everyone to their fullest capacity. I have only scratched the surface on our Nitai's glories and pastimes, but with the blessings of Srila Gurudev and the Vaishnavas, I will complete the summary in the near future. It is my honor and privilege to glorify Lord Nityananda on his appearance day, famously known as Nityananda Trayodasi. I would like to thank my Gurudev, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Ratna Sadhu Maharaj, for being my personal Nitai and sparking my desire to dive deep into the pastimes of PremiiNitai. Hare Krishna, Joy Nitai. Happy Nityananda Trayodasi.